Good day, dear viewers, and welcome to the Emporium of Creativity that is Butch's Resin Creations. I'm your host, Butch, and I'm here to share my latest fantastical video with you.
See, a southern man with steady hands, as crafty as can be.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is doing well today. So today's video is my second video representing the Zuri Molds company as one of their 2026 design team members. I'll be using the Gargoyle Set 2, the Aces of Darkness, and the Baroque frames, as well as their wax trio Phoenix Blaze, Bora Bora, and Venetian Gold, as well as other acrylic paints to achieve the effects that I wanted. I'll put the links to each mold in the description box below. So I will let you watch the process while I tell you the story of the Gargoyle and the 4 Aces. In the fog-choked port city of Black Spire, where the river tasted of iron and the moon always looked bruised, there stood the Crooked Spire Tavern. It had leaned against the cliffside for 3 centuries, its timbers groaning like an old man's bones. Sailors said the place was cursed. Gamblers said it was blessed, if you knew the right game. On the roof perched a single gargoyle, carved from midnight stone. Not one of those leering choir of grotesques that decorated cathedrals. This one was solitary, massive, bat-winged, with horns curling like question marks and eyes hollowed out if someone had scooped out the light long ago. Locals called him Grim. No one remembered who carved him or why he alone guarded the tavern and stood of the church 2 streets over. Some nights, when the wind howled off the water, people swore they saw his stone wings twitch. Grim did not sleep. Stone didn't sleep, but he watched and he waited. Inside the Crooked Spire, on the last night of autumn, 4 men sat around the scarred oak table under a single oil lamp. The air smelled of cheap rum, wet wool, and desperation. They were the 4 Aces. Not their right names, but the only ones anyone ever used. Ace of Spades was Elias Crow, a former naval officer turned smuggler, tall, hollow-cheeked, with a scar that split his left eyebrow like a lightning bolt. He played to forget the men he'd left drowning in the channel. Ace of Hearts was Mara Voss, the only woman at the table tonight. A card shark from the carnival circuits, red hair spilled like wine, fingers quick enough to steal your soul before you noticed that your pockets were empty. He played for freedom. Ace of Clubs was Thorn Blackwood, a mountain of a man who had once broken a horse's neck with his bare hands for throwing his sister. He spoke very little. He played to punish himself. Ace of Diamonds was Silas Wren, the youngest, barely 20, with bright, feverish eyes and a gambler's grin that never quite reached them. He played because he believed luck owed him something after it took his family in a house fire. They had come separately, drawn by rumor. The final high-stakes game. Pot wasn't gold or coin. It was a single deed, signed in blood, to the Crooked Spire itself. Whoever won the tavern, won the building, the secrets in its cellar, and the strange power that clung to its walls. The losers walked away with nothing, or much worse. The dealer was an old woman named Mother Hex, who ran the place. Her hands shook, but her eyes were steady as gravestones. She shuffled once, then twice, then 3 times. The cards snapped like dry bones. Standard 5-card draw, she rasped. No wilds, no mercy. The first hand went fast. Elias had folded early, cursing under his breath. Mara took the trick with 3 queens. Thorn grunted approval. Silas laughed out loud. Outside, the wind rose. Grim's stone claws flexed, once imperceptibly. Second hand, Silas dealt. The cards slid across the table like accusations. When they turned their hands, Elias had a flush in spades, Mara had a full house, Thorn had nothing worth mentioning, Silas had 4 tens. But Mother Hex smiled her thin smile. Reveal the river. No river. This was draw, not stud. Yet from the deck she burned came one last card, face down. She turned it, the ace of spades. Elias stared. His flush had been in spades. The 5th card made it a straight flush. But the ace of spades was already in his hand. Or had it been? The card on the table was identical, down to the tiny tear in the corner where a long-ago player had nicked it with a knife. Impossible, Elias whispered. Mother Hex collected the cards without a word. Grim felt it then, a tremor in the stone of his body, not from fear, but of recognition. The game had begun to cheat itself. Third hand. The lamp flickered. Shadows stretched like fingers across the walls. This time Mara dealt. She was careful. Too careful. Her fingers trembled once. The cards came out clean. Thorn won with 4 kings, but when he reached for the pot, which was a small box that had sat untouched until now, the box opened on its own. Inside lay 4 playing cards, pristine, glowing faintly blue. The 4 aces, all of them, spades, hearts, clubs, and diamonds. Each bore a tiny carved face in the corner. Elias, Mara, Thorn, and Silas. Their own faces, miniaturized, screaming silently. Silas laughed again, but it cracked. What the hell is this? Mother Hex leaned forward. The house always wins. But tonight, house wants something else. Outside, rain began, hard, slanting, hammering the roof like fists. Grim's wings cracked. Tiny fissures appeared in the stone. He felt warmth, something he hadn't felt in centuries, spreading through his limbs. Inside, the 4 players looked at one another. We walked away, Elias said. Right now. Mara shook her head. You think it'll let us? Thorn stood. The table groaned under his weight. Then we finish it. Here and now. Silas licked his lips. One last hand, all in. Winner takes everything. Losers pay the price. Mother Hex nodded once. The final hand, no draw, straight showdown. 5 cards each, dealt face down. They turned them one by one. Elias had a pair of jacks. Mara had 3 sevens. Thorn, 2 pair, aces and 8s. The dead man's hand. Silas was nothing, a bust. But the 5th card for each of them was the same. A blank white card, and on each blank card, in fresh blood, appeared a single word. For Elias, it was guilt. For Mara, it was greed. For Thorn, it was rage. And for Silas, it was fear. The lamp exploded. Darkness swallowed the room. When the light returned, dim, bluish from nowhere, another hex was gone. The table was empty. The 4 players stood alone in the tavern's main room, but the walls had changed. The beams were bone. The floor was wet stone, and above them, through a hole torn in the roof, Grim looked down. He was no longer stone. Wings spread wide, obsidian skin gleaming, eyes burning sulfur yellow, he dropped into the room with a thud that shook bottles from shelves. "You cheated," Grim rumbled. His voice was grave and thunder. Not each other, but me. The four aces stared up at him. "You sat on my roof for 300 years, Grim said, watching men and women come in and play, lose, and sometimes die. You never asked why I stayed. You never wondered what held me here." Elias found his voice first. "What do you want?" "Redemption," Grim said. "Or judgment, one of the two." He extended a clawed hand. In the palm lay 4 cards, the aces, now cracked and smoking. "Each of you carries one heavy sin, enough to bind a soul. I was bound once too, a sculptor who carved me to guard a church, but I failed. A fire took the steeple, the bells, and the children inside. I stood frozen while they screamed. The priest cursed me to watch forever, never moving, never helping, until I understood mercy." Grim looked at each of them. "Elias, you let men drown because you were afraid to die with them. Mara, you steal hearts and coin because you believe no one will ever give you anything freely. Thorn, you break things because breaking is easier than protecting. Silas, you chase luck because facing truth would burn you alive." He closed his fists. The cards crumbled to ashes. "But tonight," Grim said, "you can choose." The tavern walls began to close in, stone grinding on stone. "Leave now, and the curse passes to you. You will become the new guardians, stone by day, tormented by night, watching Black Spire's gamblers lay out their sins forever. Or you can stay, play one final game, not for the tavern, but for your souls. Beat me, and I take your place. I become the guardian again, and you walk free. Changed, but free." Silence overtook them. Then Mara stepped forward. "It's a deal." The others followed. No table now, no cards, just the 4 of them in a circle around the gargoyle. Grim raised his wings, shadows poured from them like ink. "The game is truth. Tell me your deepest shame. No lies. If one of you lies, you all lose." Elias spoke first, voice cracking. "I gave the order to abandon ship. I saved myself, and 23 men drowned because I was a coward." Mara came next. "I cheated my own sister out of her inheritance. She died penniless. I told myself she deserved it, but of course she didn't." Thorn rumbled. "I killed a man in a bar fight, not because he hurt anyone, because he looked at me wrong. I liked the sound his neck made." Silas came last, tears on his face. "The fire that took my family, I started it. I was angry. I knocked over a lantern. I told everyone it was an accident, but it wasn't." The shadow stilled. Grim bowed his head. All the truth. He reached out, touched each of their foreheads with one claw. Light, soft golden, flowed from the contact. "I release you, and I take back my own curse." Stone crept up his legs and wings, his chest, but this time it felt different. Not punishment, but peace. The four aces watched as Grim hardened once more, back to his perch on the roof, wings folded, eyes empty again. But the tavern was changed. The crooked spire stood straight for the first time in centuries. The fog lifted, moonlight came clean and silver. Elias, Mara, Thorn, and Silas walked out into the night. They never gambled again. Not because they couldn't, because they no longer needed to. And high above Blackspire, the Gargoyle watched. He no longer waited for redemption, for he had given it away, and in doing so, found it at last. The end. So I want to thank everyone for hanging in there with me till the end. I hope you enjoyed the story of the Gargoyle and the Four Aces. I want to thank everybody, all my subscribers, who helped my channel out for this whole thing. And I appreciate you hanging out till the end. I'd like to thank my subscribers, commenters, and likers for supporting me on this journey. A few shout outs: Dragons and Dresses Craftsortium, Beaten Crazy Custom Creations, Billy Holman Creations, Gert Creates, Martha's Craft Room, Gothic Charms, Sandy, Natalie, and Crystal. I craft with these ladies most every day, and they were the ones that inspired me to start this journey. Wanda's Blessed Creations, Nerd Goblin Art, Nikki, All of the Crafty Rats, Dragon's Cave, Laura's Design Studio, and a long list of others. I can't thank you enough for your support. There will be pictures at the end. Thank you for hanging in there with me till the end. And I will see you on the next one. Ta-ta for now.